did this a few years ago. I was like, what can I do different? Anyway, on the Monday he asked me, and I said, well, let me pray about it. So on that Wednesday night, Daddy, you actually taught about we are the church, and you said the laborers are few, and the harvest is ready. And I thought, thank you, Lord. So I had to text Pastor Mark the next morning. Okay, I'll do it. I got some fresh material. But then the other thing that was hitting me too was this work. And you can go to that, Jonathan, if it'll open. Or no, okay. A lot of people are scared of four-letter words, like work. So we're going to use the word serve in a lot of these contexts here of what I'm going to talk about tonight. Nothing brand new, nothing obviously out of the box or totally ordinary. I thought Pastor Mark was going to preach all of mine with what are you doing here? And then even Chris mentioned Joshua a few weeks ago, and I was like, Lord, I told Shaw, I said, I don't know if this is either confirmation to go with what you got or to change it all completely. I don't know. She said, no, I think that's confirmation. And then when I just heard Tony praying right there, and he gave part of my stuff away. So it's all working for God's glory tonight. How about that? Apparently we're having some technical issues as y'all just pray for that computer back there. Sometimes I'd like to lay some hands on it. But that's all right. Y'all got the little handout, and we'll go with it. So what I was going to talk to you about was in 2017, we did May I Help You? And I want to say, how can I serve you? So when I used to waitress, was what we were called waitresses or waiters, but now it's called the serve staff. Think about that one for a second, okay? So when you go on an airplane or you go out to eat or you go anywhere, what is they're going to ask you? How may I serve you? Okay? So they're not asking about helping you, even though that's a good thing. They want to serve you. And I want us to know, how are we going to serve? You can go to, what are we going to do to serve? How may I serve you? Now, obviously, that is a loaded question, because who is you? Right? You know, are we talking about how may I serve you, Mr. Tony? Or how may I serve you, Lord? Or how may I serve my church, my people, my community, my family, whomever? So that's a loaded question, I understand. Let's try to unpack it a little bit, and hopefully we'll tie it all back in a neat little bow then, okay? So, how may I serve you? Who are you working for? So who are we going to be serving? Who are we doing this? Joshua 24:15. We all know the last part. Let's find out what was happening. The question, Joshua's question. But if serving the Lord seems undesirable to you, then choose for yourself this day whom you will serve, whether the gods of your ancestors that they served beyond the Euphrates or the gods of the Amorites in the land you are living. Okay? So Joshua had led these people through a lot of battles, victories. When I say Joshua, what's the first thing that pops in your head? Jericho. Okay? Everybody knows Joshua fought the battle of Jericho. Okay. So automatically we think of him as a great leader, as a warrior, as a battle fighter, and all that sort of stuff. A champion, if you will. But this is chapter 24. So this is at the end of his life. He's fixing to die, and I think he knows that, or he wouldn't have made such a bold statement in the next part. But this is his greatest battle yet. How do I get these people that have followed me this long? Some of them knew Moses and his legacy. Now they followed me through all of these battles and victories, but yet their hearts had turned away. Who were they serving? So then, in this last little bit, we all know it's very popular. It's hanging on every wall, and I was going to get Mama to get it off of her wall that I gave her a metal one. It's Jonathan, you can go, and it's up over top of her. That's not it, but it's over top of her fireplace, and it's about 13 feet in the air. And I was like, I ain't getting a ladder to get that down. But then I know Sue and Mom, they've both got floor mats, and it's on Sue's wall. I saw it, and that's probably a very old plaque that's in your entryway. But it's everywhere. What was Joshua's response to his own question? As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Amen. So it wasn't like he was saying, okay, y'all do what you want to, and I'm going to go do what I want to. He's making a declaration, this is what I'm going to do, and if you followed me this far, I sort of expect you to keep following me onward. Does that make sort of some sense? Okay, we'll tell all this again. All right, so Joshua's response, that's your little thing there, was that he would serve the Lord. And not just him, but his household as well. So then the people's response, who are they serving? He asked him a couple times, and I kept reading this and I'm going, why would you keep asking him something that you really should already know the answer to? But he's really trying to test them. Isn't that what Jesus did with who you going to feed? Who you going to feed? He didn't just ask him one time, he asked him 3 times. So Joshua was already leading up to this repetition thing, and he said, so who are you going to serve? And they said in verse 21, we will serve the Lord. Bless you. And then in verse 24, they add a little bit more to it, and I like this because now it makes it personal. We will serve the Lord, our God, and obey him. So it wasn't even so much as that we're going to serve him, but now we're actually going to do something about it. That's the obey part. That's another 4-letter word. I'm sorry. Just kind of sneak them in there. But we will serve and obey. So now we're getting into the next part of they've done all this great battle. They fought all this stuff that they fought, and they've won all these battles that they won the battles that they fought. And so now their hearts are being able to come back to him. He asked them several times. Their response gets a little stronger, and now he can go at rest. Okay, y'all have made the right decision. Stick with it. Don't let anything else destroy what you've got set in your heart, what you've got now preserved for you and those that are following after you. So the whole reason that this doesn't really fit the working aspect so much as the serving part, but earlier in the year, I went trying to figure out what to do for a sort of a study journal this year. I went to Joshua, and I don't do a lot of Old Testament stuff. I told Pastor Mark, I said, anytime you want me to preach on a New Testament thing, I'm all about it. I got you from Matthew all the way to Corinthians and Galatians. I'm good with all those. But I don't do a lot of Old Testament studies, so I was into Joshua, and I was like, man, what an awesome, great leader he was. And then when asked about talking about working and teaching on working and serving, and I thought, wow, what a great mentor he had. What a great mentor he was and became. And so I can see the things that the Lord was telling me 3, 4, 5 months ago that would lead up to tonight, and telling you how when we're behind the scenes doing something, watching somebody, maybe we don't realize what they're pouring into us, that we're going to pour into somebody later. Does that make sense? So as I'm talking about working and serving, I'm not necessarily talking about being everybody up here, all that sort of stuff. I'm talking about what are you doing that's serving the Lord, that's leading others to serve him also. So that's how we make disciples. That's the whole point of a disciple, right? If I'm making mini me's. Oh, well, anyway, I'm not, but anyway. But I want somebody that's going to be beside me that I'm leading into. Elijah and Elisha, great example. But I think about Joshua. He doesn't even know who's coming behind him yet. But obviously somebody's got to step up. And not just one, but just think about all the territory now that they cover. They've got to have leaders in all of those sections that are willing to step up and come together. So anyway, I'm going to get way ahead of myself, so let me calm down. Okay, so who are you serving? The people's response, we're going to serve the Lord, okay? What are you serving with? And I'm going to change out the word love for serve. So I'm going to say, serve the Lord with all your heart, all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. When I was back teaching children's church, there's a song, love the Lord your God with all your heart, love the Lord, and we would do the little motions for it. So I would hope that at some point that stuck with a few of those kids. And that they could remember that song and then thus remember the verse. Hopefully that they realize it came from some of them don't even realize that it's scripture. That's a good way to sneak in like those vegetables that they don't want to eat. Teach them a song. It's come from the scripture. They didn't know. But all of these things, in loving/serving, because those can be interchangeable as well. If I don't love you, I ain't going to serve you. Well, let me rephrase that. I may not love you, but I may serve you, but I may not serve you well. How about that? So if I'm waiting at a table and I may not even know who you are, but I'll be happy to get you a drink of water, right? You going to leave me something for it? So it's like that point's a two-way street. Now, if I love you, I may even go get you a water and put some ice in it and a lemon too. I may up the little bit of service that I'm giving you. Not that I would do that for anyway. all of my patrons were very mindful of knowing that you're working for some money and a tip, obviously. But in doing that, you've got to have the right personality to serve. I really do think you have to. I've seen some waitresses, and I'm going, really? And then I've seen some other ones, and I'm like, wow, I want to go to your house because this sounds like it'd be fun, like all the time. But you have to know who you're talking to and who you're interacting with. And if I've got my heart, my soul, my mind, my strength, all of that working together, I should be able to do that, right? We should be able to have some meaningful conversation. I should be able to show you my love for Christ, even in just how my actions are. Right. I don't have to say a word. That's right. I hope that just by my actions, if I hold the door for somebody or I let somebody go in front of me, they're seeing Christ in me. It doesn't necessarily mean that, hey, look at me, you can go this way because Christ told me to. You might lose a few people along the way if you're doing all that. However, in serving someone, do I serve them way over here? Do I have to get to that table to bring them their food? I mean, I could throw them at it, but that would really, yeah. So then the question is, are we willing to get close? How close are we willing to get? Are we going to say, okay, well, y'all can do it way there, back there in the back, but, you might get a better response if you were up here. You can't just throw it out there and not be willing to get close. I love it when Cha goes out and does the little ministries because they're getting close to people. That's saying we love God here. We also love God over here. And we're not afraid to go over here to do that. In Matthew 6:24, Jesus says you cannot serve two masters. Which one are you going to love? Which one are you going to cling to? Which one are you going to grab a hold of and let it lead you? So let's move on. I'm going to get hold of it. What are you working for? This is the main parts that we're going to get into. All right. Hilton, I had lost his name there for a second. Pastor Hilton, Sunday, he said something about this, and I thought, no, don't be preaching my stuff again. But then I realized, again, confirmation in the Bible ain't was so big. So but then my first question is, what are you working for? And so all of these points are going to have an S. It was so funny the other day when I was working on, I had my thoughts together and just trying to figure out how to put it together in my neat little package here. And I thought, these are all ended up with S words, serve and the next few words. And then I could not come up for a last word, and I'll get to it in a minute. And they were having their leadership meeting, and I heard Mark say it. I said, there it is. There's my S word. So it's funny how the Lord works all those things out. Anyway, so the S word for this, we are going to lead others to salvation. Okay? I heard somebody say, and you've heard it before, I'm going to work my way into heaven. I don't think so. I really don't. You can work real hard, but I don't think you're going to work yourself into heaven. And at first I was just going to put salvation in some question marks, but I had a little change of heart there. But what I'm meaning is, when we serve, we're not just wanting to, I can't save you, but I can hopefully lead you there. Does that make sense? Okay. So then I go back to Joshua, and I'm thinking about him, and I'm going, why did he ask them to choose? He didn't tell them, you got to do this. You got to serve this Lord. He's the one that led you out of that, and he's the one that did all this. He said, choose. So when we get to salvation, I can't save you. You got to choose. So when we're saying that we want to lead others, it can't be that it's my way, the highway, it's God's way. I mean, that's the only way. So when we say we want to work for our salvation, we can't work for our salvation. But once we're saved, we certainly can work. And again, by work, I mean serve, love. I mean, there's all these interchangeable words here. And then faith without works is dead. So don't let people think you're dead in your faith. I'd let that marinate. I love when people go, Y'all wonder what I'm doing back there in the sound booth sometimes. Y'all are back here and I'm going, yep, We're just going to let that one sit right there. So we say sometimes that I talk about being judgmental. I've heard it several times, even lately. You can't judge a book by its cover. Obviously, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. You don't know what's happening behind closed doors. Also, you can't judge whatever. However, you can judge a Christian by its fruit, which is going to lead me to my first point here in just a second, or my next point. But the whole premise is, I don't want somebody to look at what I'm doing or not doing and have questions about me. How about that? Okay? And something that Daddy said that night, where did it go? What if everybody in the church looked like you? Oh, what would it look like if all of the people in the church were like me? How early do they get up and come to church, and how long do they sit on the pew? No. Y'all can't all do that. And I'll get to that in just a minute, but you can't all do that. Okay. So some people say, though, I think I took this one off. Some people may ask, though, what if I only have time for forgiveness? So what if I'm on my deathbed and I can't do anything? Total different story. But that leads me to an example, a very good example in the Bible, of the thief on the cross. All he had time for at the end was salvation. Okay, number one, I got to have it, right? My thought is, though, I bet he wished he had more time. Because if he had more time, he could go be a witness. He could have served as a worker in the kingdom. He could have worshiped. So what is our excuse? We've got time. We've got people that need to see us doing something. So not to reiterate all of Pastor Mark's past sermons, but what are you doing here? What are you doing for this church? What are you doing for God's church? Did it click? No? Okay. So what are you doing here? Pastor Mark hit on all the other words that I wanted to hit on the doing. So what impact are you making? What are you doing that is something that no one else can do, or something that several people are doing, but you've been called to do and maybe you're not doing? Ooh. Okay. I got to move on. All right, so what did I just talk about? I forgot what I talked about. I lost myself in my train of thought there. Oh, I was talking about the seed. Okay, sorry, I lost myself. Just quit laughing at me. Aaron's up here laughing at me. So, I don't know if y'all can read that. It says, God is in control, but he doesn't expect you to lean on the shovel and pray for a hole.
Amen. That's good.
I saw that on Facebook last week. I said, I wonder how many other people are seeing that and getting their toes stepped on. I'm like, wow, okay. So, holes don't dig themselves. Yeah, we might leave that there. Okay. Holes don't dig themselves. However, what do I need a hole for? Seeds. How did y'all figure out seeds? Did I say that? Ooh, I slipped up, didn't I? Okay. So, my next little S word there is that we're going to pray for the harvest. It's going to be a season of harvest. So, when Daddy was talking, he said the laborers are few, the harvest is ready. Obviously, and there's a song that goes along with it that says, my house is full, but my fields are empty. Who's going to go work for me today? They all want to stay around the table. What's going on at the table? Feed me, feed me, feed me. But nobody wants to work. Yep. So we're going to have a season of harvest. And I know this is coming. I have heard so many say it's coming, and I know it in my own bones and body it is coming. So we got to have a few steps, though. How do we get ready? First, we got to get some dirt. First, you need to get your shovel. Find your dirt and put your shovel to work. Then you dig your hole, right? Then what are we going to do? Find our seeds, okay? Then we're going to water it. Now, what happens when it waters, when you water? The nutrients and all those other things. 1 Corinthians chapter 3. Brother Hilton hit on the verse 10 through, and I was actually already had mine on the first part of that, before that, where Paul comes in and he says, look, I did something, but Apollos came in and did something else. And now who are we going to wait for to increase? God. So when we say, Lord, send the rain, that may not be a physical rain. It could be our tears. If there's a seed we've planted in somebody, we may just need to cry over it. When we were praying one Saturday morning, that hit me just clear as something. I said, our tears are that rain that needs to water some of these seeds. Because there are seeds that have already been planted a long time ago that just need somebody else there. Pray for them, cultivate it, pray, cry, keep praying and keep crying. But the whole part is that it's a process. And then God brings the increase. So just like with salvation, I can't save you, but I can hopefully lead you there. And then you make the choice, God's going to bring that increase. That's the harvest. So I can't get this big old nice fluffy pumpkin without first planting some seeds. You and I didn't just become Christians because we came out of our mama's womb that way. Somebody had to plant a seed in us. Somebody had to cultivate us and pray and cry over us. We may have never seen those tears, but I promise you somebody did. And now we can be this nice fluffy pumpkin, because y'all all know I'm a pumpkin, right? Okay. See, Lee, I told you I'm the pumpkin. So the question is, are you ready for the harvest? Are we prepared for the harvest? If 100 more people to walk in the door next Sunday, what do we do with them? Where do we put them? Even if 50 came in next week, where do we put them? Do we say, on COVID restrictions, cram them all, what you need to do? I mean, you got to have some certain procedures in place and thought process, but the growth is coming. The seeds have been planted and the harvest is on the way. I firmly, firmly believe it. So we got our plants, we got our seeds. Now, next one. This is going to be my favorite one. Yay. Teamwork makes a dream work. Okay, so I've been waiting to tell y'all all about Joshua. Do y'all know anything about Joshua besides later in life? Okay, so where was Joshua born? Anybody? Thoughts? Egypt. They were all in slavery, right? And until Moses brought them out, that's where they were. So I had not even thought about that or considered it, and I thought, duh, that makes sense. So he was born in slavery. Joshua's name means salvation. What? So his parents even knew that they needed a Savior. Not that he was going to be the Savior, but they were praying for salvation, to be saved, to be brought out of their slavery. So then as Joshua gets older, I'm trying to think that Moses must have been obviously older, duh. But he may have left at this point by the time that Joshua was getting older. But it says that he was trained as a soldier in military defense. Background, hey, there's some seeds being planted here. When's he going to use all that military knowledge? Okay. He would have been saved the night of the Passover because he was the oldest son in his family. Firstborn of none. So he would have seen all of the 10 plagues, obviously survived the last one, or all of them, and especially the last one. He saw all the signs and wonders in the wilderness. He was there when they first crossed the Red Sea. He got to follow Moses. It says that he was actually a soldier in Moses' army. And then he served as Moses' assistant. We probably know him as a spy, one of the 12 that went over to spy out the land that they would one day be able to inherit. And I think this is where he became the visionary. He could see the potential. So he was able to use all of what, and he couldn't have been that old, right? I mean, I'm thinking if he was even 20 by the time they came out of Egypt and then they wandered the desert for 40 years, he'd have been 60. So I'm thinking, okay, he couldn't have been that old when they came across there. Or he could have been and just had really good genes. I don't know. But then he was chosen to succeed Moses. Why? Caleb could have done it, right? Caleb was the other spy that said, oh, this is good. But Joshua was right there. He followed Moses closely. He learned from Moses. Moses was his mentor and his buddy and his friend. And what can I do to serve you? I can imagine on several occasions Joshua would have said, how can I serve you, Moses? What can I do to help you? What is it that you need? What is it that I can bring to this table right now of discussion? How can I help with the military planning? Do we need to set up a defense? Okay, who's going to take down the tent? How do we he had the potential there. He had that already all those giftings. Speaking of giftings, if you weren't here in 2017 or 18 when I did the spiritual gifts test, or you want to redo it, I printed some of those. Forgot to tell y'all that earlier. Obviously, he's not perfect. We all make mistakes. But he was willing to learn from them. And that's what makes a leader. If you just make a mistake and you wallow in it, then I feel like you sort of kind of quit and give up. But if you make a mistake and you learn from it and you change, that's when the growth starts to happen. So it's not to sit there and say, oh, woe is me, woe is me. But I think Joshua understood, too, the importance of a team, which is why I'm throwing him in here with the teamwork. Because I'm going to hit on that diversity one over there. So he was offering the leadership, obviously not by himself, but he knew he needed people that were creative. Somebody's got to watch the tent. So somebody's got to have that spiritual gifting. And somebody needs to hang out with the children and be their guidance, what leaders and teachers and all that sort of. So he knew somebody needed to be in that area. And the priest had to have their area, and the warriors needed their area, the soldiers. I mean, he was really had to think about, just like any leader, president would, how do I manage all of these little areas, and who can I put in charge? So then that takes me back to our church and Pastor Mark. He's the head of all of these other things, but he knows that he can't be back there with the kids right now if he's in here. So he's got to set up leaders in place. And he's got to have somebody that's over the music that can handle that area. He's got to have somebody as the care pastor, or care, help me, thank you. Okay. What's that word I'm looking for? So he's got to have people in places that can help with these other little ministries. And they're not little, don't take me that way. But the other ministries that are happening. So Joshua's the head leader up here. Then there's diversity. So then how does it make a team work? What's this? So let's go to our S word. What is the success of the team? What are we working for? We're working for the success of the team. It's not about me. It says there's no I in team, but there's a me, but we ain't going there. Everyone must work together for the common good, have a common goal. It's the vision of the church. It's not about me. I hate to tell you, it's not about you either. It's all about him, right? It's all about him. But we're all working together. We're all serving together. We're all loving the lost for our common good, and that is to bring others into it. So then we have to know our role. Okay? So do you lead a ministry? Are you following somebody in the ministry? Are you helping out with somebody in the ministry? Are you assisting them? Are you helping on a Wednesday night teach a class? Are you helping on a Tuesday morning teach a class? Are you helping in the parking lot? Know your role. Why? Because we can't all be in the sound booth at the same time. I'm telling you, it's too small. Okay? I'd love to have some more help. Susan would love to have some more help. But we can't all be in the sound booth. We've got to know our role. So then we've also got to do our part. Okay? So even though we'd probably like to have Carl times 20 out there all waving hands, we can't all be Carl. God made him special. He's doing his part. Okay? Pastor Mark's the leader of the church. He's doing his part. If you're here tonight and you're engaged, as I feel all eyeballs are right now, you're doing your part. Okay? So we're all working together as a team for a common goal. So, remember a couple years, was it 2 years ago we did? So it's not all about the name on the back, because what does that mean? It's about me. But it's all about the name on the front. So when I'm watching any sort of ball game, if you turn around, I'm seeing your name. I'm also seeing your behind. Just saying. But if you turn around, I'm seeing who you represent. And I want Christ to be represented on my team jersey, right? Sorry. So let's go back to our little Joshua scenario here, because this is my favorite part. Okay. So we got Joshua. He's our leader. And I talked about the diversity. He's obviously got vision all over himself. But when we talk about Joshua finally taking his spot as being the leader, and he's going to go over to Jericho, he doesn't go by himself. Does he go over there by himself? Okay, y'all correct me if I'm wrong. He does not go to Jericho and defeat them by himself. Okay, just making sure. I want to make sure, because I'm pretty sure he did not go by himself. So first, though, learning from Moses, he sent out some spies. Did he have to? Probably not. Did he trust God that he was going to do it anyway? I mean, as far as God doing his part, absolutely. But I think it was more that I saw Moses do it, and I'm curious now, is that going to work for me like it didn't work for him? Can we rewrite history a little bit, maybe is some of the thought. So he sent his spies out. While the spies are over there, somebody helps them. She said, "May I help you?" So was she doing her part? Was she an Israelite? No. But what? She got to help somebody and she wanted it. Okay. So she knew her part and she's playing her part. She helped them, and then what were they able to do later? Help her. Salvation. What? Okay. See, doesn't this all like, I told you it's all going to come back around. Okay. So we got Rahab. She's helping the spies. And then they told her if she would get whoever she wanted to help save in her house when they came, they'd be saved too. It reminds me of Noah in the ark. If you want to get saved, get in the ark. Who got in there? Nobody but his family. Okay? She was able to save her family. He was able to save his. So if we want to get people up there, we need to get them in here. Figuratively speaking, not, okay. So then when we get to the battle, they again have to cross that river. And it is not a huge river, but it's big enough to make a problem when you don't have a bridge. We've seen it. It's not huge, but it's still, you can't just go, okay, we're going to trot across here and then it's good. But when the priest touched the water, so I think about Indiana Jones where he has to step out and he goes, boom, and he doesn't fall. It's because you can't see it. But that's what faith is, right? You're just taking that step even when you can't see it. So when we're playing as a team, if I do happen to stumble or fall, guess what? Somebody's going to catch me. So we got to have everybody working together. So when the priests come out, they're going to carry some are going to play and sing in the harps. That's some different people. But the priests are carrying the Ark of the Covenant, okay? And then they've got players of trumpets behind them. Then they have officers who are giving instructions to the people. They have chosen a tribal representative from each of the 12 tribes to carry a stone. I'm kind of moving faster here. And then they have the soldiers who are behind them ready and armed for battle. When they get across the water, what are they told to do? Put the stones down, make an ark, make a memorial. Remember what's happening here. Now, it doesn't mean that we're going to dwell in the past, but we need to remember where God's brought us from. So we can be witness to the work that's already happened and ready for the work that's to come. So then as they're coming over, they're getting ready to go around. At this point, I really don't think anybody but Joshua probably knew what was happening. But I can just envision their formation. He's telling them, okay, we're going to march around. I need everybody to be quiet. I can sure there was a baby somewhere just had to, but maybe they moved them to the back. But when they were marching around the first 6 days, it was just the priests and the officers, those representatives, and the soldiers. Know your role and do your part. They couldn't all carry the ark. They couldn't all blow trumpets, because if they all blew trumpets, well, who would carry the sword? See where I'm going with this? Okay. So if we're all in here singing, that is awesome. We can all certainly make a joyful noise. But when we're around the altar, maybe not everybody's gifted to pray like Brother Tony is. And that's okay. Know your role and do your part. Not everybody's gifted like Carl to know your role, do your part. All right, Pop Smurf? I'm picking on him and he ain't even listening. So anyway, back to Joshua and they're marching around. Okay, so the priests are carrying, the officers are around, and he told them to be quiet. So somebody had to keep the people quiet. Now, if all of these are working and knowing their role, doing their part, what are these people back here doing? They're still knowing their role and doing their part, right? They may not physically be walking around that wall just yet, but they are still absolutely involved. So there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes besides just the people carrying the trumpets and carrying the swords. Joshua might have been the leader in charge, but he won't be the only leader in the group. Does that make sense? Because everybody had to know their role and do their part. I feel like I have a little broken record there. I keep saying that. But it rhymes. It makes a good little, okay. All right. I think I've said that. So when we get to the role of the soldiers or the trumpet, what do you call them? Trumpet bearers, musicians? What do you want to call them? The officers, the tribal representatives. Then we get to the people that are in the back. What was their duty? On that 7th day, what did they have to do? Shout. Shout. That was their job for the day. Just shout it out. And if you don't do your part, that wall is not going to fall. Got to shout. Got to get it out. Got to shout it out. So if you know your role and you're doing your part, it doesn't necessarily mean we're all playing the same position, because I know Pastor Mark can say you do not have 12 quarterbacks all lined up on the row. And I'm pretty sure there's not 11 pitchers out on the field, unless I'm totally missing something. Everybody's got a position to play. And even though there may be multiple people playing that position, they're still not necessarily playing it at the same time. You've got relief pitchers that come in. You've got second quarterbacks that come in. You've got a third string coming off but they've had to practice. They can't be on the team and wear the jersey without somewhere saying, okay, you're on the team. So you don't get to wear the jersey if you hadn't put in the time. Okay. I feel like I'm beating all of you. This is supposed to be encouraging, and I apologize if it sounds like I'm being beaten on you. So we've got to do our part so that things don't go lacking. Because if something gets missed or left out, and there's potholes and gaps that need to be filled, then what's being missed? What's not being done? But together, everybody accomplishes more. So then the question on there that he had that I missed was, what more can we do? What more can you do? All right, so my last point here is number 4. What are you working for? And did y'all see my little pictures? Okay, just make sure. So it was a picture of the body of the Christ. It says the body of Christ, and it lists some different things. That we have spiritual gifts and kindness and given to different things. So thank you. There we go. So the body over here is it looks like the wheels or the gears. Thank you. I like, what's the word I'm looking for? So it looks like some gears, and it just, to me, I'm thinking that one on the bottom, way down here, isn't going to move unless this one moves. And the whole thing ain't going to move unless this one moves. And that ain't happening unless something else is moving. So we can't all be the top. We can't all be the bottom feet down there either. So we've got to have each other to make up all that part and all that body. So what are we working for? We're working for the structure of the body. This was the S word that I was looking for. I was trying to say systems of the body. That didn't quite sound right. I'm like, what's my S word? Synchronous. I couldn't even say it, much less spell it. So I said, that was not it. Then Pastor Mark was back there and he said something about having structure. I was like, that's it. That's the word I'm looking for. Not only the structure of everything, but the structure of our body, period, and how those things all fit together. In 1 Corinthians, obviously, great chapter 12 of all of the things that work together, there are different kinds of workings, but in all of them, and in every one, it is the same God at work. So whatever your role, whatever your part, working for that common good, we're working for the same God. He's our coach, team captain. He's our everything. So if we're all on the same team playing for him, then all of our body parts are going to be working. Yeah. For the body is not one member, but many. But now there are many members, but yet one body. He says it several times more, but we'll stop there. So over and over, Paul is trying to get the point across. There may be lots of giftings in your church. There needs to be lots of giftings in your church. There needs to be lots of people doing things in your church because one person can't do it all. Amen. 2 people can't do it all. That's right. 3 or 4 can do more, but they ain't going to do it all. So the more people you have, what does that go? Many hands make light work. So the more people you have, and you think, oh, there's nothing I can do. Trust me, there's nothing you can do, and if you need a job, I'll help you find one. Okay? Whoever I'm talking to out there, just throwing it out there. I've got a list for you on the back of your handout of who to talk to, and if you don't know who any of them are, I'll find them for you. So as we're talking about the body, we need each other, obviously, to make all of the body work. So then the question is, what part of the body are you? And this is just an old game. Y'all all know what this is, right? Let's see. Oh, wait a minute. I'm missing something. I got no parts to my body. Oh, I wonder if his nose works. Ooh, his nose works. But that's all that works. Oh, somebody found all the parts. Oh, thank you, Chris. Somebody found all the parts that go in our body. Winky, winky. So what happens on my game, though, if I hit the sides? Ooh, I get a little shock. Now, what happens if I put it in there perfectly and I get it out perfectly? I get money? Hey. I need to work on the rules on this thing. If I don't hit anything, I pull it out and I don't get shocked. Right? Sometimes we're going to get shocked. And I hate to tell you, but sometimes stuff happens. Because what was that saying? If you find a perfect church, quit going. You're going to mess it up. You're going to get a little shock. Woo-hoo. It's not going to be so perfect anymore. Do y'all know what this guy's name is, by the way? Does anybody know what his name is? When I was reading the rules. His name is Sam. Poor Sam. I wonder how many kids have just beat up on little Sam here. I'm going to donate this to the launch department. Anyway, but I did want to show you how, looking at his body, it looks a little pitiful. But where does this Adam's apple go? Can y'all see that? Where was your Adam's apple go? In your throat? What happens if can you be without a throat? What happens if you don't have a throat? You've lost your voice, right? We're not singing. We're not shouting. We're not praising. Don't lose your voice, right? So what else? Oh, his heart. He's got a broken heart, poor thing. What was our other thing? We're going to love the Lord with all our heart. So if we can love him with our heart and we put our heart right back in place, then we're starting to mend ourselves and helping to mend others as well. Love that funny bum. Hate it when you hit it, though. Not so funny anymore. All right. Let me tie all this up. Okay. So what part of the body are you? Are we missing a piece of the body? Just asking. Not accusing, just asking. Once we get the right pieces in the right holes, everything comes together. Maybe a little painful at times, but it'll also bring some laughter and some tears and some joy. But just remember, he's still working on me. And we can't leave out any of our pieces, or our body won't be right. So, flip over to the back of your paper. It says, how do I get plugged in? Who do I talk to? I know you're probably not going to be able to read those on the screen. That's why I printed them on your paper. If you're watching online, maybe Miss Susan can get that bigger for you, and or if you've got the outline. So these are the people of our church that currently lead ministries. Again, if you don't know who these people are, I was trying to find maybe some pictures of all of them, because like 2 of them are in here right now, 3 of them are in here right now. So you may not know who the other people are, but just find me and I will help direct you to whomever you need to talk to. And above all, find a place that speaks to you, whether it be, I know PJ has said he needs lunch, so we need you. Nursery says she needs you. If we start back with some Sunday school classes, we need you. And maybe you can't teach. Maybe you don't want to teach. Maybe you think, okay, I will happily go watch some babies. Please do. I'll teach. Know your giftings, right? Okay. I'm going to make mini-me's, but not mini-me's. So know your giftings and work within them. But then also just get involved. Find something. And if you want to be in a place where you will never miss a sermon, I will happily train you on that computer back there, and you will be in every service. Winky, winky, winky. I put a little selfish plug in it. But just to give you some statistics that I heard them talking about in their leadership meeting. In 2019, we had average of 100 volunteers. And now in 2020, we've got half of that at only 50. Now, mind you, we've got less in attendance, so obviously there's less working, but there's still work to be done. Just because there's less people coming doesn't mean that the work stops. We still have people working, that's great, but we still need help. The breakdown, obviously you saw that there, where the pastor and connections, youth, children, discipleship, worship, those are kind of the head people there, as far as then there's some other ministries that fall out from under that. I did not bring my whole breakdown because I just didn't think that was necessary, but just to give you quick overviews of things that could be doing. Obviously with children, youth, discipleship, children, youth, and nursery, even adults ministry. For the worship, we need singers and musicians. We could certainly use some help in the sound booth, the tech booth. Security, they need people on Wednesday nights, Sunday mornings. If we're doing any sort of outreach or evangelism. So have I even mentioned preaching yet? Okay, and I don't think it's on here because there's so much more that goes on than just preaching. Y'all, okay, I know I'm preaching to the choir and all of y'all, but then we've got greeters, parking lot ushers. There's Joy would love to have some people helping the altar ministry up here. I know that COVID is still real and a thing, but there is nothing wrong with coming and laying your hand on my back. I will gladly accept a prayer, even if it's from the back. You do not have to be in my face. I totally understand it and respect that. So, but there's power in a touch. Also with local missions projects, PJ was doing the Bama. Was it Bama? Great ministry. That's behind the scenes work that you could be doing and don't even have to do anything but bring your old stuff and bless somebody, right? Local missions, and then we've got the global outreach that touches lots of people. Oh, so Holly Rayner was doing her Rwanda trip, and I gave her some money, and she said, well, do you want it back since I'm not going? I said, no, just let it bless somebody else. My money went all the way to Africa, y'all. I didn't get to go, but my money went. So I said, and I'm not bragging, I thought that was really cool. And that's what she told me. I said, that's cool that my money was able to go and bless somebody in Africa, a place that I'll probably never go, but at least prayed over it, Lord bless it and use it. And I was like, that's awesome. But we've got men's and women's that do meetings and projects and special events, Vacation Bible School, one coming up in a couple of weeks, the Fall Festival. Obviously, Easter and Christmas are always big with doing things. Some of y'all may know him. Pastor Danny Harris he did our devotion in our DM meeting, our discipleship ministries meeting a couple weeks ago. And he said, perhaps it's been said before, the worst place to be is where God was, but the best place to be is where God is. So if we live and we love and we serve, that's where God is.
Amen.
And I'm going to leave you with that.